So, welcome to Spokane Talks News Matters, and an interview today with Elizabeth Dahl, who is a director of Braver Politics for the organization Braver Angels. And I want to ask her a little bit about that organization and some action steps that people might take if they would like to see our politics a little more productive. So, Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you. I am so glad to be here. I really appreciate your column. I read it on a regular basis. I'm the national director for Braver Politics, but I do live right here in Washington State outside of Seattle. And as a conservative, I'm a regular consumer of your column.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what Braver Angels is. We don't have as many conservatives involved as I would like to see in the state of Washington. And I think that's true somewhat nationally. I think conservatives tend to be maybe a little more skeptical of many things. So what has been your experience as the national director?
I am just absolutely thrilled. I love every single day that I am working for Braver Angels. I've been volunteering with the organization since 2018. So although I am new to staff, I'm not new to the organization. And I have watched people's minds change. I have seen people transform the way that they interact with people that disagree with them. And I am just absolutely thrilled every single day about the work that I get to do.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. People's minds changed. I think that one misconception some folks have about Braver Angels is that it's about finding what I would call a mushy consensus, when I have always found it to be a good place for a really robust and productive disagreement, which can be healthy. How does Braver Politics hope to encourage that kind of robust and healthy disagreement?
So one of the things that Braver Politics offers is a new debate for candidate or new format for candidate debates, which I am really stoked about. So my primary complaint about normal debates is that average voters don't watch it because it doesn't offer them any distinction between candidates on the issues they're actually interested in. It only addresses issues that are of importance to activists and of people of a specific socioeconomic class. So Braver Angels and my Braver Politics program more specifically has decided to correct for that. We will send canvassers into the district where a candidate debate is happening, into politically diverse and socioeconomically diverse regions of the district to do issue surveys and determine which issues actually matter to voters within that community. And then that will be handed off to a debate committee made up of balanced Republicans and Democrats, an equal number of them. And with some attention paid as best we can to socioeconomic status as well. And then they will have to vote unanimously to approve every question that they write. So in that way, hopefully we keep a neutral phrasing to questions as well. And then on top of that, we have ground rules for the actual debate that the candidates engage in. We require them to only say Republican and Democrat if they are talking about specific legislative actions, and to not engage in stereotypes, not engage in exaggerations, to address actions, not intent. And I'm really, really excited about the potential for change that comes with this form of candidate debate. I think that it offers an opportunity for voters to truly understand accurately the differences that exist between candidates and to see candidates contrast with each other in a really powerful way on issues that are actually important to voters in the district instead of just the activist issues.
Okay, so where are you hoping to roll this debate format out, or perhaps it's already being used in some areas?
It is in the process of being rolled out right now. So we have one firm commitment from both sides of a debate, and then we have another that is in process here in Washington State. And then in Minnesota, we're in the process of setting up a candidate debate also. So we're It's brand new. We've just launched it at the end of April. So this is, a month of marketing the candidate debate to people and to elected officials and candidates, but we'll see what happens.
So is this at a congressional level or a state legislative level, or what level are we talking about?
Every single level. We will come in and organize a debate. If you're Rotary and you already run a local debate for something like your city council or your school board, we will come in and we will help you with the methodology, and you can use your format. And we'll just make sure that candidates follow the ground rules and that we have an adequate moderator for the debate, and that our methodology for selecting questions and creating questions is used. This is for every level of government.
Okay, so if Spokane Talks Media wanted to sponsor a debate in one of the legislative districts, for instance, we could contact you to set that up then.
Yes, absolutely. We would love to have that.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to keep that in mind since I accepted this title of news director for Spokane Talks Media, and I'm looking for things that are news, and I'm particularly looking for things that provide people with more information. What kind of an organization do you have to put this on? You mentioned, I mean, you're the director, but who else do you work with? How many people are involved?
So Braver Politics is just one aspect of the larger Braver Angels organization. Braver Angels has alliances, which is what we call our local groups of volunteers all over the country. And then the Braver Politics program also has citizen volunteers, or groups of individuals that have joined us in a variety of ways that don't necessarily have an existing background in politics, don't necessarily have an existing background in Braver Angels, but they agree with the Braver Angels mission of ensuring that people talk to each other instead of, or talk with each other instead of past each other and at each other. And they agree that we should treat each other with respect and understand each other and try to find common ground on values and concerns, even if we still disagree about policy, and that disagreements about policy can be had in an agreeable way and in an accurate and respectful and honest way, even while you still strongly disagree. We have a strong college debate program that takes up incredibly hot topics and controversial topics across the country, that it does not shy away from any sort of controversy or a harsh argument. And yet at the same time, our ground rules ensure that divisions happen among policy arguments, and divisions appear among issues. But at the end of the debate, students still have close relationships with each other. They feel as though they understand each other better, and they feel as though they have more respect for people that disagree with them. And that's something that we see on an ongoing basis with Braver Angels workshops. So to come back to the Braver Politics question, our volunteer base comes from our alliances all over the country, and it comes from volunteers that have joined what we're calling our Citizen Action Program. And I am training these volunteers to become political activists in their local communities for the cause of depolarization, for the Braver Angels cause of arguments over issues, not arguments with people, arguments where we still care about each other and respect each other, and we come to understand each other's perspectives differently, or understand each other's different perspectives better, while still caring about each other and having a relationship and having community trust. And that is kind of the other big part to me of what Braver Angels does is, we have a problem with institutional distrust. We have a problem with community lack of trust. And Braver Angels seeks to rebuild that trust, both in each other as individuals and in government, by promoting understanding, not consensus on policy. We're not trying to make anyone change their point of view on politics. We're trying to help them change their views of each other, trying to ensure that people humanize each other and remember that we're all human, And sometimes, we have the same goals for our families. We want our kids to have good educations. We want to see our children do better than we did. We want our towns to be economically successful. We want to be economically successful. We want people to care for each other within our communities. And somehow that gets lost in the effective polarization of politics.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the word to humanize, really the opposite, to dehumanize, is something that I think we've seen an awful lot of lately in so many areas, and that's a real hazard. I'm glad to hear that you have an active program at the college level, because I think that that's going to be a big challenge for the next generation, is to figure out how to get past this polarizing point we have landed at. And you did mention the alliances, and I have to confess that it's not a conflict of interest. It's a congruence of interest, that I have became active with the Central and Eastern Washington Alliance in Washington. Washington State does have two alliances, one west of the mountains, one east, and we actually have put on some things together, which has been really great to make sure that we're crossing the Cascade Divide that way. What drew me to Brave Angels and to actually find the alliance was listening to a debate that Brave Angels ran on an extremely touchy topic on the 2020 election. And it was such a hot topic that there were individuals on the National Brave Angels group that weren't sure they should even go there, really. But I'm glad they decided to, because it was really well run. And what I appreciated was that they had 8 people, four presenting on one side of the statement, 4 on the other side of the question. And everyone respectfully made their case, gave their observations, listened. There were not maybe minds changed, but minds open. That became clear when everybody gave their comments at the end. So that drove me to, I went and found, well, this was kind of a cool debate, and I really like a good civil debate. So that drew me to Braver Angels. How did you find the organization?
So I found the organization kind of a roundabout way when I was moved here. So I grew up in a very conservative area, and several years ago, I moved to Bainbridge Island. And I'm still a conservative. That makes me an extreme minority on Bainbridge. And after the 2016 election, I had someone email me and say, I don't know what happened. I clearly missed something. Not only do I not know what happened, I don't know anyone that will admit to having ever voted for a Republican, ever. And can we just get coffee? You're a Republican PCO. Can we get together and talk? And so we did. We got together at a local restaurant, and our conversation went really well. She had a business background, and she was concerned that it would be really difficult for businesses to account for any sort of long-term planning if you have extreme changes in, for example, tax policy between different presidential administrations, and that's really bad for the United States economically. And that was
a very reasonable question as well. You can't make a long-term plan on a 4-year basis.
Yeah. So we had some common ground there, and it was a really good conversation, which led to her having conversations with a couple of my other friends. And then we organized a dinner with 2 of her friends and 2 of my friends. And it was 3 Republican women and 3 Democratic women who had a structured conversation over dinner about political topics that we were curious about each other's views on. And that went really well. So we expanded. And the next dinner, we had 4 Democratic women and 4 Republican women. And out of that, a friend of one of the women who attended one of the dinners reached out to me and said, hey, I'm putting on this workshop for Braver Angels, this organization. It's Democrats and Republicans coming together to learn about each other and find common ground. Would you be willing to attend? And I'll try anything once. it's politics. I love talking politics. Sure, why not? And so I showed up to a red blue workshop in April of 2018 in Poulsbo, Washington, and I was hooked. And I realized that Braver Angels was doing already exactly what I'd been trying to put together on my own with these dinners. And that what Braver Angels was doing, I thought, on a decentralized grassroots individual level, was exactly the way that we can actually fix some of our severe polarization and lack of trust in the United States. And it starts on the local level. It starts with me. And so I'm going to plug myself in here. The wheel already exists. I don't have to reinvent it. And I've been volunteering with Braver Angels ever since.
Great. That's great. I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that you're there representing the younger generation as well. And the more I find myself saying things like that, the older it makes me feel. So one of the things I wanted to close our conversation with was ask if you had an action item that you would like to give to everyone. And I think you have one you wanted to talk about, and I have one I want to pitch.
Yeah, so if you're in the Eastern Washington area, you should join the Braver Angels Eastern Washington Alliance, especially if you're a conservative. We need more Republicans involved in Braver Angels. This is not asking anyone to become moderate. This is not asking anyone to move to the center. What this is asking you to do is accurately understand people that disagree with you and have conversation about politics. And there's it's absolutely wonderful to recognize that there are people that are willing to have rational conversations about politics. And moreover, that Braver Angels will train you in the listening and speaking skills to have those conversations if you're currently concerned about doing that, or if that's a struggle for you. We'll help you achieve that in a constructive way. We have workshops not just to connect you with other local Braver Angels volunteers. We also have workshops to help you rebuild relationships with family members that disagree with you over politics. We have film clubs, we have book discussions. There are a whole panoply of opportunities that you can take advantage of once you plug into a Braver Angels Alliance. We have the community debates and national debates, as Thulani mentioned. It's just a wonderful opportunity to really better understand how to have constructive political conversations and to understand and be curious about people that are different than you.
Yep. And it's for those of us who are political junkies, it can be really invigorating conversations. And if it's something that you've always felt reluctant to try, this is a really good place to get started, because it's others who just want to have that communication. We will be having a booth at Valley Fest this year, where we hope to get to see people. And I'm hoping that we can talk to a number of the candidates. It's being an election year for the legislature. There will be a lot of candidates there, and get them on board with the Braver Politics, which I believe you're also reaching out in some places to train congressional and legislative staff, and to be able to communicate better. And I know that when I've talked with local legislators, they point out that, over 95% of the legislation that is passed is rarely controversial. It's just getting the job done, getting the work done. And for all those pieces of legislation, being able to communicate clearly is critical. So we'll hope to see people at Valley Fest, and look up our booth, and hopefully, or not. Well, maybe, are we having a booth? Yeah, we're having a booth. And check us out. And that will be this September. So we have some planning time, but it'll be before the November election. Hope there'll be lots of interest.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, I'll give you the last word as the national director for Braver Politics for the Braver Angels organization. What would be your last word to those potentially interested parties out there?
If you're a candidate or an elected official, as Sulani mentioned, we have speaking and listening skill workshops for you. We have one called Managing Difficult Conversations with Constituents and Colleagues that is absolutely wonderful at de-escalating and walking through really tense political conversations, and even conversations that don't necessarily fit the Republican Democrat divide, but are across a bunch of other divides. It's good speaking skill to learn and incredible to attend as a workshop. If you're an individual, check out the Eastern Washington Alliance, join Sulani. We would absolutely love to have you as a part of Braver Angels. And we hope that you will visit them at the Valley Fair. Is that what it is?
Valley Fest. Spokane Valley
Fest. We hope you'll visit them at Valley Fest. And I hope that you'll join me both in Braver Angels and in Braver Politics.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining me today, Elizabeth, and carry on.
Thank you.
Just wanted to show off our ability to custom match paint, and brought in some new equipment here at Peters where we can build 1 gallons, 5 gallons of paint to the specific colors that you're looking for. So if you're trying to match a color on your wall or match a color that you've picked from us, come on by and we can make that color come true in our paint.
Are you looking for something generational, timeless, with historical truth? Then We the People Interactive Calendar is right for you, designed for the generations. With over hundreds of historical dates and funny cartoons, We the People Calendar makes the perfect conversation starter about America's history, what the founders intended, and why it's important today. Our mission is to expand conversations as we all learn together in our pursuit of truths. Let us add to the legacy of our ancestors. To get started, scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen and begin your conversation today.